Welcome back students. I am your geography teacher Vandana Joshi and you are watching SST Joe. Students, in the chapter The World Population, in the previous video we have studied about what is population, what is the distribution of population over the world. We have also studied the density of population and the factors which are affecting to the distribution as well as the density of population. In our today's second video of the chapter, we will study few more topics about the population. As the population density and distribution is depend upon the number of people. So in this video today we will focus on the most important topic, that is population growth, in which we will study the reasons behind the population growth, what is the meaning of population growth, how the population growth influenced by many factors, and what are the CBR and CDR. Then after that we will see the trends in population growth. After that, the next topic will be doubling time, where we will study about the doubling time of world's population. Then after that, at the last of today's video, we will see the spatial pattern of population change. We know that population is fluctuating due to many reasons. So what are the patterns of the population change that we will study in our today's last topic. The video will be complete in the third part of video, where we will study some more topics related to the chapter the world population. So in our today's video we will cover these four topics. So let's start our today's video with the first topic, that is population growth. So there are two words, that is development and growth. Where the development is a qualitative aspect of population, in other hand the growth is the quantitative aspects of population, where we can denote the population in the changes of number of people in a given particular area. Here we can say the population can be denote the change in the number of people of a region is known as the population growth. Means what is the exact number of particular given area is known as the growth of population, and it will be always quantitative, not the qualitative. In the next point we can say the population growth can be both positive as well as negative. Means if the CBR or the crude birth rate is increased, so the birth rate is known as the positive population growth. And if the CDR means crude death rate is increased, so the population growth is considered to be the negative growth in the population. And the third point is saying that it may vary due to the physical, economical, historical, social or cultural backgrounds. Meaning to say that the population growth may vary in the different areas due to few factors. Like the first is physical factor. How? By seeing the physical features of a given area, the population may vary. For example, in the mountains, the population is always less as compared to the plain or plateau area. In the next, the economical. In the last previous chapters, we studied about the migration. The people have to migrate in those areas where the economical opportunities are more. So obviously the population of that area is influenced by the movement of people, and the population may increased. So economical aspects are also some important part. The next is the historical. In past also, the areas which were civilized near around the river valleys, these were mostly populous areas, and also few other factors like the areas which were having some favorable condition for the human beings, these were already developed and populated, so that the historical factors are influencing to the population growth. Next is the social and the cultural backgrounds. Human beings also want to live with their society and the areas where the same cultural practices to be done. So these aspects are also influencing to the population growth of a given area. And here we are going to talk about the population growth of the world. So some more other things we will study about the population growth. At present, the growth of population is of great concern. Though some countries in Western Europe are experiencing a negative growth, but rest of the world would experience a high rate of population growth, and as a result the world population would increase due to its large base. The world population has crossed 7 billion mark, and so even a lesser growth rate would add up a huge number to its present size. Here, few concepts are there of population geography through which we can check out the basic terms of population growth. These terms are known as the first one, growth of population; second, growth rate of population; third, natural growth of population; fourth, positive growth of population; and the fifth is negative growth of population. Now let's see what are the meaning of these different concepts. So in the basic terms of population geography, first is growth of population. It's the change in population in a given between 2 points of time. Here, the area which is having the different population means in 2 times the population is changed is known as the population growth, and it can be negative or positive. For example, during 2001 the population of India was around 102.70 crore, and then after that it was totally increased within 10 years. In around 2011 it was 121.02 crore. It was known as the increased population growth. The second one is the growth rate of population, which refers to the change of population where it is known as the percentage, or it expressed in percentage. It is referred to as the growth rate of population, means how much percentage growth is there in the population is known as the growth rate of population. The third basic term is natural growth rate. This is the increase in population in a particular region due to the difference between birth and death between 2 points of time. The rate of natural increase is the rate of which a population is increasing or decreasing in a year due to a surplus or defect of births over deaths expressed as a percentage of the base year. Next is actual growth rate. What is actual growth rate? That is the difference between birth, death, and in migration or out migration is known as the actual growth rate of population. Another one is negative growth rate and the positive growth rate of population. Negative growth of population is when population decreases between 2 points of time in a region, means within a time limit or time duration of 5 or 10 years, what is the number of decreasing in the population is known as the negative growth of population. It happens when the birth rate falls below the death rate of people migrate to other countries. The positive growth of population when the birth rate is more than the death rate between 2 points of time in a region. It happens also when people from other countries migrate permanently to a region. There are few components as well which are responsible for the population change, and these three main components are known as the birth, death and migration, about which we have already studied. But again, few points we will discuss about that. The birth rate is also known as the crude birth rate. It is the number of live births per thousand of population for a region in a year. And in the other hand, the CDR, which is also known as the crude death rate or the mortality rate, is expressed in terms of number of deaths per thousand population for a region in a year. In the other hand, migration. Migration, it gives rise to immediate change in the number of people in an area. It is a spontaneous efforts to achieve a better balance between population and resources by the movement of people from one area to the other. And it is universal in nature. People move from areas of lesser opportunities to areas with better opportunities with more natural endowments, and it is known as the migration of people. They move from the place of origin to the place of destination, and it is of two types, immigrants and the migrants. Here migration also can be several types, which can be known as the permanent, temporary or seasonal. Permanent, when the people move from one place to another for permanently. Temporary means for a time duration, in the transfer cases many areas, that is the temporary. And the seasonal, in which we can include the transhumans, where the people according to seasons they have to move from one place to another place, and generally it has been done by the gatherers of animals in the seasonal migration. And there are few factors which are responsible for the migration. These are known as the push factor and the pull factor, already which we have studied in the previous video. Again, the push factor, as the name suggests, push factor play their role in pushing the people away from their place of origin due to lack of infrastructure, education facilities, employment opportunities, political unrest, epidemics, natural or man-made disasters. Whereas the pull factor, the name is showing, it attracts the people in their place of destination with better job opportunities, housing, medical facilities, political stability, security, better climate and other facilities for comfortable living. Now let's see our next topic, that is the trends in population growth. We know that the growth of population, which is now in the drastic mode, it was not similar as in the past. Human beings are a social creature and they always depend upon the nature. So, nature is the most important factor which is responsible for the trends in the population growth over last few years. Even we can include last some 100 years. The population growth was too much increased in the different stages, where the nature is a responsible factor as well as the technology which was totally developed, and it is also responsible for the technology is a most important fact through which the human beings are now technically developed, as well as few things like in the medical facilities. Some other techniques are also developed, in which we can include the development of resources technology, which develop the resources, due to which the human beings are now establishing themselves in the various fields. Here, many things which are responsible for the human beings' development and for the population growth as well. One graph is in your book, which is showing the increasement of population over last few thousand of years, around 12,000 years ago. The population of human being was around 0.25 billions. Then after that, before Christ, before the birth of Christ, it was a little bit enhanced and it was around 50 billions, 0.50 billion around for the Christ. Then after that, if we will compare it at present, the growth of population is always influenced and it was totally increased. Now it is around 7.6 billion at, and it was not the population growth of 1 year. It is the population growth of last 12,000 years. Now let's go through the graph through which we become to know what were the technologies, research and other developments through which the population growth was increased. So students, if we will go through this graph, here the population in last few 10,000 year back, it is totally different. Here if we will go around 12,000 years before and the till the birth of Christ, it was around 0.25 billion and it was due to the development and spread of agriculture. Then after that, a new era came after birth of Christ till 1900 century, means till 19th century, the age of European exploration, colonization and the settlement. And till then the increasement of the population was around, we can say in last these years around 0.5 billion, and in that time many developments were also there. If you see from the 17th century, that industrial development, then after that within the 18th century transportation development, then in the 19th century there was the sanitation and the medical development were also there, due to which the population was increased. And then after that, the last 100 years from 19th century to 20th century and till present in the 21st century, many other developments were also there, which was coming under the biotechnology and the technological revolution, which was earlier started from 1650 to till present it is going on. These were few reasons due to which the population was totally influenced and is in the we can say a disastric mode. And now it is around 7 billion in last 30 years, as compared to the last 10,000 years it was too less. But after the development in the technology and resources, the population growth is now totally changed and it is within few years around 7 billion. So here we can say the trends in populations are totally changed, and due to some medical revolution, now the death rate is to be decreased and the birth rate is increased. Now here, after seeing the trend in the population, one more thing is there, how the population is just doubled within few years, and then now it is too much high within last few thousand of years. That condition when the population is going to be increased within a given time limit is known as the doubling of population or population doubling time. So here in a proper word we can say the time taken to double the population of an area at the current rate of growth is referred to as the population doubling time. For the world population, it took million years to attain the 1 billion mark, but it only took 12 years to rise from 5 to 6 billion. Since the beginning of the Christian era, the population took 1650 years to reach 500 million. Clear? Here then, the doubling of population after that was very fast, and it took 200 years 80 years and 45 years to double itself. Here it is estimated that the next doubling will take around 35 to 37 years, which will put tremendous pressure not only on agriculture for providing food but also on other resources for providing the other basic needs of life. Now the next thing, which is the last topic of our today's video, that is the spatial patterns of the population change. We know within few decades the population is changed too fast, and the population within these last 12 or 15 years, if we will see from 1975 to till 2011, the 3 billion population was totally doubled and more than double even. It was around now within 30 years or 15 years, sorry, it was just around 7 billion, or there is a changing in the population is more than 4 billion people within a time decade. So it is a just drastic condition of population change, and here we can say the population growth is low in developed countries than the developing countries. If we will see in the pictures, the developed countries are having the limited resources through which they develop their human resources, and due to which these are considered as a developed country, and the developing countries, since they are facing some technological issues and many developing issues, due to which they are coming under the developing countries, due to which the population change pattern is also varies in the developed countries and the developing countries. Population growth and economic developments are negatively correlated in that aspect. Here, if you will see, in a developing country where a large population, even a small annual growth rate will lead to a huge change in the population. Presently, the population of the world is 7.033 billion around, and is increasing at an alarming rate, with more than 8 crore being added every year. Though the developed nations have established their growth, the developing nations are yet to reach that target. The population in the developing nation is bounded to increase in the coming years as the proportion of their youthful population is high. Here the pattern of population change is also referred to the industrial revolution, where we can say that with betterment economical conditions and living standard, this stage started with improvement of medical facilities, and there are a lots of variation in the population change, due to which the pattern of population is also changed in the different countries. If you will go through the chart number 2.3, here you can see the changes in the growth rate within few given time. Here the different regions of the world are there, and you will see the growth rate of 1990 to 1995, and then after that 2010 to 2015, where in few areas the population is increased, the growth rate of population is increased. In many areas, those are coming under the developed one areas, these are still now in the stable, or there is a steady population. The over the world, the population growth rate is little bit less as compared to the past decades, and the countries those are coming under the developing, like Africa, and if you will see, most probably it is in Africa, which is coming under developed. There is a little bit growth rate increased. Otherwise, other countries like Europe, North America, Latin and Caribbean America, and Asia and Oceanica, these areas are even steady or in the decreased population. So here is the spatial pattern of population change is showing through the different growth rate in various time limits of the particular regions. So students, here our today's topics are complete. In our next video of the chapter the world population, we will study few more topics about the world's population, in which we will see the population change, impacts of population change, and also the demographic transition. So for that, keep watching SST June.